right, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here tonight on our Thursday night patching podcast. We're so excited for you to hear the two stories of people using the LifeWave technology tonight. Woo, we've got a lineup for you, that's for sure. But before we get started, I do want to share with you, if you're a guest this evening, please thank the person that invited you, because the information you're going to hear tonight is probably going to be life-changing for yourself and for your family members. So before we do get started, I want to share our disclaimer. I am not your doctor, and I will be interviewing a doctor this evening, and he's not your doctor either. So the information that we're going to share tonight is for informational purposes. Please check with your doctor if you have any questions in regards to your health. The information that we're sharing tonight is not intended to prevent, treat, cure, or diagnose anything at all. And of course, if you're on medications or if you're pregnant or nursing, check with your physician. So with that, my beautiful co-host, Marci Preble, Senior Presidential Director over on the West Coast, is going to come back in here in just a minute. I am going to actually interview our first guest, and this is Dr. Tim. And many of you may have seen several months ago, I interviewed Dr. Tim on my Tuesday nights call, my science and technology call. He and his wife, Dr. Kathy, are chiropractors up in Michigan, and I had the privilege of spending some time with them back in September, and so got to know them really well and had them on my Zoom. It was just a fantastic interview, and obviously it's been, how long has it been, Dr. Tim, since you've been using the patches? Is it 3-4 months now, or even longer than that?
About 7 months.
Oh my God, time's really flying. Gosh.
It does.
Okay. So, Dr. Tim, can you please let everyone know, because we have a lot of guests on here tonight, and of course there'll be a lot that are going to be, listening to this. Tell us a little bit about your background, like who you are, the types of things you're involved in your practice, what your wife does, how you both do that, incorporate that, why you chose LifeWave, and obviously, who introduced you to that 7 months ago. And we want to know what was going on with you health-wise, or maybe nothing, and maybe you just decided you wanted to use this modality, like myself, for prevention, vitality, wellness, longevity, all those amazing things. I don't know, but we want to know all the details from you. So fill us in, Dr. Tim.
Well, thank you, Dr. Stacy. My testimony is so vast. It includes me, includes everybody around me. My wife and I, Dr. Kathy, we've been in chiropractic practice 21 years. We do chiropractic, we do advanced clinical nutrition, we do a lot of biofield testing, which has a lot to do with using the body's reflexes to determine exactly what the body needs to support itself with. And Dr. Kathy and I, we go way back to high school. We were high school sweethearts. Let's see, I was 17 and she was 16 when we met, and here we are all this time later. But Dr. Kathy and I, we've always been focused on helping others. It's like everybody we come in contact with, we want them to be better after, dialoguing with us. So we got into chiropractic. Actually, I was in the Air Force. I was a jet mechanic, worked on F-16s, B-52. So I'm a big troubleshooting guy. So then Dr. Kathy and I, we got married, and then we went to chiropractic school, and I wasn't the healthiest kid growing up, but I never really cared for taking medicines. I never really liked it a lot. So even back then I had this innate craving for wanting to be healthier. So anyhow, fast forward to 7 months ago. Actually about a year ago, I had a patient of mine, and he's a good friend of mine, and he had this patch on his back, and I'm doing an examination on his spine, and I saw it a couple times, and I didn't even think twice about it. I'm thinking maybe it's just some patch that, maybe gives him energy or something like that. So one day I asked him, and he's like, yeah, it's a, it's a patch, and it's he talked about this light activation technology, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. But then he said it was non-transdermal. I'm like, you're kidding me. So nothing goes into your skin. He said, I'm like, so what does it do? He said, it takes your body's light, reflects it back into my body, and it activates cells to go wherever they need to for health. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I started doing some research, and I'm the kind of doctor where I had a lot of companies come in my office, and I wanted nothing to do with it. But this company, I'm like, I got to check this out. So we did some more talking. We did some research, Dr. Kathy and I. So we ordered our X39s and our ANs and X49 because I weight train a lot. And I put them on, and I don't know, within like a day, I felt different. My body felt more tone, and I'm not talking like exercise tone, just more. I felt more fit. I felt like my light was brighter. And 10 years ago, I would have never used terms like light and frequency and vibration in reference to health. It was all, A plus B equals C. But anyhow, I slept better. Everything was just better. And I take care of myself anyhow. We do advanced clinical nutrition. We give the body exactly what it needs. And how old I'll be 51. If that's what the chat question is, I'll be 51 in January.
Nice.
So anyhow, a personal testimony, again, I felt better, felt more tone, but weight training, I don't get sore anymore after working out. It's awesome. And I noticed my gains were better. And I'm not one of those super heavy lifters. I noticed as I get a little bit older that, I'm not doing the super heavy stuff, but I still weight train and I maintain. And just my strength, my vitality, testosterone's off the roof. It just is. I mean, I've never really had a problem with it, but now I feel like a tank. So, but here's the good part. Dr. Kathy and I, it's like, we need to implement this in our office. And folks, people love it. We're supplying so many of these wonderful packs to our patients. And again, we got to be careful with what we say because, that's just how it is today. But lives are being changed in ways like, for example, chiropractic, and we were doing that for like 15 years, and patients were like, Dr. Tag, I'm 90% better, but there's still just a little bit. I'm just there. So that's when we integrated clinical nutrition. But I noticed about 2 or 3 years ago, we started getting this again. It's like, the adjustments are great and the clinical nutrition is great, but there's still just a little bit left over. And it's like, well, we need something. There's something else, because our body is inundated with EMFs. Our body is inundated. There's GMOs in the food. There's all these pesticides. We're at any given time of the day, there's frequencies going through inside and out of our body, causing inflammation to all of our cells, tissues, and organs. So it's like there's something else out there, and that's what these patches do. And Dr. Kathy and I were talking about this, and it's like, what do these do? It's like, these help to bring order to the body. This brings order, and we're noticing too that people that are they don't know anything about becoming healthier. It's like, well, I don't want to, chiropractic's good, and I'm not interested into the nutrition, but they love starting off with this. And then they start off with this, and then they're like, I want to clean up my diet a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. So, but the light activation technology was that third missing piece. And now patients, once again, they're like, I haven't felt this good. And that's the goal. I want to see grandpas playing softball with their grandkids. Me personally, I want to give a speech at a podium with sound mind and sound health at my 100th birthday. And I want to invite you all.
We'll be there.
But again, my testimony is so vast. And I just got off my own little Zoom with a dynamic group of people. So, we're building that business component now. Mm-hmm. And folks, there is no better time. We have AI. We have all these different things. Technology is changing. There is no better time to have an online business like this. And the support is off the charts. I'm on Dr. Stacy's Zoom meetings on Tuesday nights, 8:00, Wednesday nights, 8:00. There's, if you're kind of like frightened about, I don't know anything about this, it's a step at a time. Learn this and then share it with your friends and family, because people need this technology. In fact, I ordered Dr. Harmon's book, and I got Dr. Pickhart's book. These are both on Amazon, and these talk about the GHK copper peptides, both of these books. You know, and just today we were talking about the, you know, because one of the biggest questions is, well, how can you say it reverses aging? Well, there's chronological and biological aging. There's a lot of people that are almost 51 years old. They look like they're 85. They haven't been taking care of their body. Well, it's time to get on these. And what happens is everything starts working better, the cells, the autonomic nervous system. So that biological age starts to reverse. It's as simple as that.
Very true.
It's so enriching to have these for myself and my patients, and to just be a part of this group. I think it's fantastic. Usually I can't do Zooms after like 10 minutes. I'm out. But the Zoom meetings with this company, I can't get enough.
I love it.
It's awesome.
And your patients are feeling the exact same way about
oh my gosh. Yeah.
They can't get enough.
They can't get enough. And we're getting calls, you know, Tag Family Chiropractic. And it's like, yeah, I heard you guys can patch me. Come on in. I mean, it's awesome. And again, you got the patents, you got the research, and once you start learning about, how the lattice is made, it's got the sugars and the salts and the organic enzymes. And it's like, coming from my mind, it's like, it makes sense, but it's backed up with the patents, backed up with all this peer reviewed studies, and again, go, Google, PubMed, stem cells and GHKCU. And it's like, wow. I mean, you could get a stack of research back in the peer reviewed studies that thick. So sorry if I went on a little tangent, but I'm just excited about this.
Thank you.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Marci, I know you have some questions or some comments up there for Dr. Tim.
I'm just amazed at how much he knows. I just is like taking pictures of his books. I'm like, go to pubmed.gov and search GHKCU and stem cells. That's brilliant. I'm going to go do that tonight, doctor.
Awesome.
Because there's so much. And you said one thing that really blew me away. And it was like, it starts with X39 because it activates your light, and it starts there. And then people want to fix their diet and exercise. And it's true. I don't know why that is. Maybe because X39 just makes us happy again, like youthful, like we can just go do it, And you also said, this really blew me away, X39 activates your cells to go where you need for your health. Like basically these cells can go and repair what you need. So you have health like a young person again. I mean, that's what I got, doc. And thank you. I mean, I got chills. I mean, wow.
Thank you.
I could tell she was over there writing. I'm like, what is she going to say?
I was writing notes on him. I'm like, yes, I'm doing that. And yes, and activate cells and GHK and PubMed. You better believe it. I took a lot of notes today, Doc.
That's great.
Well, thank you, Dr. Tim, for sharing your expertise, your opinion, obviously your experience, and also your testimonial. We're excited for you and the future, not only for yourself, but for the greater, what part of the hand of Michigan are you in? Where are you at?
Oh, we're on the west side.
Okay.
So we're about right there.
Okay, so this part of Michigan.
Yeah,
so
right
we're
there, yep.
excited for this part of Michigan right here.
And we're all going to come and visit you, doctor. We're all headed to Michigan. You don't know that yet.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as the snow is cleared.
Yeah. It's going out here. It's good.
Man. Well, thank you, Dr. Tim. We'll definitely have you back on again. I know, I'm sure. So
thank you.
All right, Mars, I'm going to turn it over to you now. I know you are going to, Dr. Tim and I are over here on the East Coast. You're on the West Coast, but man, we got Terry out here in sunny Hawaii. So Mars, I want you to interview Terry.
I would love to. We are all over the country. We're every time zone here helping people. And so Terry, we would, love to hear your story. What happened in your life when you were young, and who introduced you to LifeWave, and really what's been going on now? I know you've been on LifeWave for a year, but big changes really within just the last 4 to 8 weeks, and we just want to hear your story because it's really going to help a lot of people, Terry.
Thank you, Marci, and thank you, Dr. Tim. I wish you were on Maui. So, my journey actually began when I was 12 years old, and I had polio, and it was not a simple case. I had all 3 kinds of polio, so I was given a tracheotomy. I was in an iron lung for 3 months and was in the hospital 7. Excuse me. I think I'm nervous.
You're doing great. You're doing great, Terry.
Yeah. And so from that point on, basically, it was all about survival. Life was all about survival and how to fit in life, because I no longer fit in life. So it was a really, really hard time in my life. And then I managed to live a pretty normal life, according to what anybody else would say. And then my body started losing its strength because of the post-polio syndrome. And I was, of course, in the medical field. I knew nothing about this kind of stuff, or basically getting in. I was into nutrition, but not like I got into after what happened in 1986. And in 1986, I allowed the doctors to put Teflon into my left vocal cord, which had been paralyzed with the polio. Now, I was teaching guitar and singing and sometimes performing, and so that didn't work very well. Well, after saying no for about 3 years, I don't want to do the Teflon in the vocal cord because it didn't make sense to me. But I also wasn't willing to do drugs. So eventually I consented to the Teflon being put into my vocal cord. And the result of that was that every system in my body was taxed to the absolute max. And when I tried to go through the medical with the doctors to get answers, they had no clue what was going on in my body. So I eventually just left them. And one other thing was that in doing that, I felt I had to do this, even though some voice was hollering at me, don't do this. I felt I had exhausted possibilities, and that if I didn't do it, I would lose my husband's support in trying to get to the cause and the problem. And as a result, actually becoming so sick from the Teflon and not being able to function whatsoever, doing anything. And because of the polio background, realizing I could become a paraplegic. But what I came to, and I wouldn't be able to do anything for my family, and I went, but it doesn't matter, I can always love. And so that gave me a little bit of hope to just keep going. So what I know is from these experiences, and eventually, piece by piece, pulling myself to another level, I am a survivor. And every time I come across something, I have hope to move forward. And I'd have, an initial not feel good, or an initial feel good, but it would never sustain. And I did everything. I did diet, I did spiritual, I did everything. I sought everything. But I really didn't have the resources to go to a lot of outside doctors because I wasn't wanted out of the marriage, and so on it goes. Anyway, so LifeWave, it came into my life. By then, I've done enough research and studies and everything, and knew that stem cells were an answer. But there was no way that I could afford ever to do what was available for stem cell. And we did try the PMF program, which was supposed to stimulate your stem cells. And then LifeWave came along, and I went, that makes sense. I can afford that. And so I started on the patches. And within a week or two, I had two miraculous experiences. Now, my body was already so compromised in so many ways that there was a lot of work that still needed to be patched up, and I knew that. So, but this was giving me a lot of hope. And two of the major symptoms that I was dealing with was neuropathy in my legs and with COPD in my lungs. And one day I came up the stairs from the beach and my legs felt normal. And when I got up to the shower, I was so ecstatic and so feeling that miracle of that healing. And all I could do was cry. And then within another couple of weeks, I had the other miracle coming up the stairs where I didn't have trouble breathing. And again, I was ecstatic for the miracle that had occurred. And then within a week or two, everything came back. And I felt, it's like, well, can I really trust this? And yet I continued to listen to pods, and I continued to listen to testimonials. And one day this kind of voice came to me because I was asking why did I lose it? It doesn't make any sense because all these other people, when they get their miracle story, it just seems to hold. But what came to me was this is a preview. That was a preview of what you have to look forward to. And so that gave me the trust that I could trust the patches, but then I didn't really experience anything. And I went by if you go every month for every year you are, I figured, after 8, maybe a little bit more months, I should be getting that real zippy. And it didn't happen. My faith was so strong in this product that there was no way I was going to be deterred. And it's been hard to sell the product because people know me and they've seen me and they're waiting for me to have this true miracle which happened. I've been on them for a year. I'm 83 years old. I'll be 84 next month. And I needed to make sure that this was going to hold before I could really feel firm with it. And about 4 weeks ago, it's like I got my energy level went up. I functioned kind of like what I would consider normal, which I had not for all those years. And so it's like I had actually reached the point, even though I was on the patches, where I was basically dependent on really to take care of me because I couldn't do it. I didn't have the energy. I didn't have the stamina. I now have energy. I have stamina. I feel good. I still have symptoms, but I am so, if this is all I get, it's amazing, but I'm expecting as the body really heals on the inside, which it's doing, I knew it had to be done first. Because that's a long time for a body to always be trying to thrive or survive. And so all I've wanted is to thrive. And now I feel there's an opportunity, I have a chance to thrive, to live
I'll
life.
tell you, Terry, I have to say, symptoms of polio from age 12, Teflon in your vocal cords in 1985, and you were not thriving, you were surviving. And then you were given the X39 a year ago, and I love this. You say, there was a preview. I felt good for a day or two, and then it went away, and the voice said, that's just a preview to what to look forward to. I got chills on that. Like, it's going to be okay. You need more time. I gave you a preview. Fast forward a year, in the last 4 weeks, your energy, your stamina, like it happened. What did you say? It held finally. It took about a year, but it held. And I'm so, I feel like crying because you've had, I mean, from age 12, you're 84, like to be in survival for all those years. And then the last 4 weeks you went into thriving, like, it's just something else. So Terry, thank you for sharing. I do need to move it back to Dr. Staci now. I know we went a little long, but your story matters, Terry, and it's going to help so many people. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for letting me share my story. And I'm so, so grateful that here's somebody that cares about my story. Because mostly in my life, it's like, oh yeah, there she goes again. You know, it's like, so thank you for this. Oh, and for the solution. It's like,
Yeah, and for a solution.
thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. We're going to go now to Dr. Staci. Dr. Staci, wow.
Thank you so much, Terry, for sharing. Whew, that's a tearjerker for sure. That's a amazing testimonial. Thank God you hung in there and you didn't give up. You know, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on here, because we do hear a lot from people in the beginning that, you know, they just want it all and they want it now. And you know, you listened to that voice that said, keep patching. Don't ever stop. Just keep doing it. And here you are now, a year later, saying, I have my life back after all these years. So of course, earlier you heard Dr. Tim share a little bit about our LifeWave technology and how it works, being a non-transdermal patch, and the fact that we're a little bit out of time tonight. He did a really good job of explaining to you that this patch is a patch that you put on. It's a wearable light technology, and nothing enters your body except for your own light. And so for Dr. Tim and Dr. Kathy, his wife, and his patients, and for Terry, it's the exact same thing. It's just putting the patch on every single day, day in, day out, whether it's 7 months or a year or 2.5 years like myself, or 4 years like Marci, or, you know, for the rest of your life. We want to use this patch to help our body get back into balance. And so we do have a fantastic site that can help give you more information about that. StartX39now.com will give you a lot of information. And so you can see how this was happening for these people, very different experiences. And we want you to get back with the person that invited you, and they can help answer any questions that you have and help you get set up with the patches that best serve your needs for now until you reach your miracle, just like Terry said. So thank you all for being on here this evening. Marci, we're going to go ahead and sign off on this part so we can get started on our next. So thank you all.